The state wildflower for Oklahoma is the gaillardia, or the Indian blanket. Before it was designated as our state wildflower, we only had a state floral emblem, which is mistletoe. Now, mistletoe is still our state floral emblem, and if you're familiar with it, you'll know that mistletoe is a parasitic plant. It actually lives off certain species of trees. It gets all of its nourishment from these host plants. Well, right down here I have a plant that is similar to mistletoe in that it's also a parasite. This is it right here. This is called dodder, D-O-D-D-E-R. You can see it looks like these yellowish orange spaghetti-like strings here growing on the plants. And it is parasitizing this ragweed right here below with the green leaves. The dodder doesn't have any roots, and it contains no chlorophyll. It contains no green chlorophyll in these stems. In fact, it doesn't even have leaves. It just has stems and flowers. But of course, the chlorophyll is where photosynthesis takes place, and it can't do it on its own, so it's a parasite on other plants. I've got some examples right here of where it's kind of wrapping around the stem of this ragweed, and you can kind of see little suction cups where it kind of latches onto the host plant and gets its nourishment from the host plant. Dodder is in the morning glory family, and it does bloom. You can see the flowers right here, little white flowers, little yellowish orange stamens kind of coming out there. The genus is Cuscuta, but closely related to the morning glories. Dodder rarely causes any economical problems in cropland or in pastures. In fact, we hardly ever even see it in the garden, but occasionally it does show up. You're more likely to see it along the roadsides or out in pastures. Now, dodder has a litany of common names, and some of these have positive connotations and some a little more negative. For instance, it's called angel's hair, devil's guts, love vine, witch's shoelaces, and it's also called stranglevine. So whatever you want to call it, it's certainly a botanical curiosity. Another plant in the morning glory family that is a problem in croplands and in our gardens as a weed is this plant right here. This is field bindweed, and I think just by looking at the flower you can tell it is in the morning glory family. They can either be white or pink. If we turn the flower over, we can see some pink markings there on the back of the flower. But these are really big problems in our gardens. It's kind of hard to get rid of them. And if you look right down here, I've got one that I tried to pull out of the ground, and just look at the length of the taproot. And I've tried to pull these out of gardens before, and it seems like every time the root breaks, it sprouts another head and just continues to make a huge mat and become a problem in the garden. It's almost impossible to get rid of them by pulling them. A good thing to do would be to remove all of the seed heads whenever the flowers do start forming seeds. Get rid of those, and then if you can't spray the plants, if they are wrapped around other plants, growing on top of plants, kind of like this one right here, then a good thing to do would just be to mix up some herbicide to a recommended rate, and then come out with like a paintbrush and just paint the herbicide onto as many leaves as possible without getting it onto the plants you want to keep. And then maybe you can get rid of the field bindweed.